good times and bad times too. I remember. It's amazing looking back on the things you have to live through. Yeah.
Hey everybody, Chris Swartz here with Fuel. Welcome to the show, and just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And we're here at Fuel, and what we do at Fuel is our podcast is an opportunity to connect with extraordinary individuals to find out and exactly, what is the foundation that makes them tick? What is their fuel? And I have our guest here today, Carl White, and Carl is with the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and he runs the #1 podcast for loan officers in the country. So we're very honored to have Carl here today. Carl's also one of the founders of the, I don't know the stats, but I'm going to say, top, if not #1 mortgage loan officer coaching program in the country. I also happen to just have on my desk the Crushing Call Reluctance book, which I got in the mail the other day. So Carl has all kinds of experience and, extraordinary stories that he shares with many of us through his podcast, books, and coaching. So Carl, thanks for joining us today here on Fuel. Welcome to the show.
Chris, brother, it's an honor to be here. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate you letting me come and be a guest on yours. And brother, it is an honor to have you a part of our group that in the Freedom Club. You're one of the leaders of the Freedom Club, and it's just a true honor to be a part of your world, my man. And you bring a lot to ours. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you. So before we jump into it, I just want to thank our sponsor, First Choice Mortgage Advisors, and we are going to talk today with Carl, and we're kind of going to get behind the scenes. That's what we do here at Fuel. We all know Carl White. He's got the #1 podcast for mortgage loan officers in the country. He runs, one of the best coaching programs out there for loan officers. But what we want to do today is we want to talk to Carl, put all that on the shelf, and see what makes Carl White tick. And I don't know if we want to know that, but we're gonna.
This could be scary.
This could be scary. So we're gonna try to, just to see if there's anything in your life, when you get up in the morning and you start your day. Is there something, and throughout your life has there been something that's been the driving force? That's any experiences or just things that make you operate the way you do, because it's, you don't just wake up and start the #1 podcast for loan officers in the country and, do all of these things without some sort of fuel, some sort of fire in your belly. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So you and I have known each other for a while. We go back a little bit. So just a casual conversation, if we can share with our listeners and those of us that are watching on YouTube or wherever this may end up, that they may be able to look back in their life and see that, hey, I've had an experience like that, or they can relate to something that we can help those people that are listening kind of take their lives to the next level. So I'm just going to leave it open to you, Carl.
Brother, I think, so I'm going to be real transparent here. So I'm going to tell you, sometimes I look at this whole thing, the way this is evolved, is it always feels a bit weird to me, to be honest with you. And first of all, we have that book with Kevin Gillespie, Crushing Call Reluctance, was a book I did with Kevin Gillespie. I just want to make sure to give him credit with that. But I think it always feels kind of weird that, we have a #1 bestseller and, multiple 7-figure income. And again, I say this very humbly and gratefully, people stopping me in the airport throughout the country when I travel around, and it always kind of weird. And I think what it is, man, is I have come to find out that these people that I had put up as supermen and superwomen, right, the people that I looked up to and still do, I found that, like, as these people started becoming my friends, and even some of our students, that there's nothing special about people that achieve great things, right? And I found it's very normal people, just like, it just, it's like feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It's like, I find there's nothing special about people that achieve greatness other than it's not that they don't feel fear, they do. It's just they feel that fear and they go ahead and do that activity anyway. And honestly, for me, it wasn't because of inspiration. It was like desperation. It's like something had to happen. I've got a family to feed and a wife and 3 kids and I had to do it. Like it's not like I wake up feeling this great wave of inspiration, even though some days I do. It's really just out of desperation and just being afraid and just doing it anyway, and not being afraid of, so many people, they hesitate doing things because they're afraid of looking stupid. I hear that sometimes. And it's like, nobody really cares about what you look like. Nobody, one thing I've learned is people think about us way less than what we think they do. They're too busy worried about what you think of them. You follow me?
Yeah.
And so it's just doing it, dude. It's like you doing this podcast, man. It took a lot of courage to do this. And my guess is, I know I am, dude. Every time I do an episode, I get a little twinge, like it's fear.
Sure.
But we hit the record button anyway, and we do it anyway. We show up anyway, and it's nothing more simple than that. It's just having an idea, or wanting some results, and just doing what you think needs to be done. And don't worry about how it may or may not turn out. If it turns out great, we'll do it more often. If it doesn't turn out great, hell, don't do it anymore and do something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a powerful just concept of just do it anyway, just, and to really, I think that, in my experience, and, I'm unfortunately don't have people stopping me at the airport. Maybe I need to hang out with Carl a little bit more, but, I bump into old friends, and, Facebook makes us all look like, our lives are amazing and everything's perfect and we're all millionaires.
Your life is amazing and it is perfect, right?
Well, yeah, and we're all millionaires, so I'm still on that piece there. So, but you bump into people and they just, they kind of, everybody compares themselves to everybody. Oh, how'd you do that? Or what, I see your, whatever it is that you're doing, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. Or how
well, you know what it is, man? It's like people like you, me and you, Chris. And again, I don't want this to come across as pompous. It's not. I want to help people, and that's the reason why I'm kind of saying things that maybe I wouldn't say from the stage per se, because it sounds weird. But it's how we did it. I don't think, Chris, that you or I have any idea that somebody else didn't have. We just do it.
Right.
We don't just have the idea. We have the idea, and they would, like the podcast. Dude, who hasn't thought of doing a podcast at some time, right? A lot of people.
Sure.
Very few people actually follow through and do it. So it's not that we're, you're a very bright guy, right? And I'm not trying to take away from that, but it's not like, we're geniuses here.
You give me a lot of credit, Carl.
Yeah, but it's not like we're geniuses here per se. It's just we heard an idea and we said, well, by God, let's just do it. It comes back to that saying, what's the difference between fear and courage? And fear is like peeing in your pants, right? So scared that you wet your pants. And courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants on. And the idea behind that is that everybody feels fear. You do. I can't speak for you, but
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I know I do. Like every time before I get on stage, every time I get on the phone, every time before I click the record button, almost every time I do anything, there's a level of fear. And I found over the years that fear really hasn't decreased. It's just my ability to just do it anyway, even though I have the fear. And that's what sets people apart. The biggest difference I've noticed, like if somebody wants to raise their income, the one trait that is a predictor of their income more than anything else, it's not how handsome or pretty or tall or short or whatever. It's how quick from when they hear an idea till the time they implement that idea. So you have idea and then the implementation of that idea. if you can eliminate that space, or when you eliminate that space between those two things, when you have an idea and implement it, that's the people that do great things. It's strictly removing the hesitation part and just doing it anyway. And it's okay if we skin our knees. It's okay. My daddy told me early in life, he said, son, if you don't skin your knees from time to time, you're not running fast enough. And so, brother, I've got some scars on my knees. I'm just telling you, man, there's some of my skin left up and down the highway over here, you know, and it's just, I skin my knees often, you know,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I used to get, and I still do, you know, it's funny as we get more comfortable and we do things, you know, that fear, I love what you said there. It doesn't go away, you know, and you know, I tend to be an overthinker in a lot of areas, and, you know, and that's why
you're so smart.
Yeah. So
no, really. So I intelligence can be one of the biggest distractors of success is high intelligence. We're not, it's like, because we do think of other ways. You know, I'll be honest with you. Some of my, gosh, I don't know if I can say this. This is going to sound weird, but some of the most successful students I found may or may not be the most intelligent, right? I mean, nobody's dumb, right?
Sure.
I'm not saying that.
Right.
But some of the most successful students might not be, quote, the highest on an IQ test per se, but yet they go have epic results. And it's because they just follow the plan. And when you get smart people, you know, like, you know, when you get smart people, they instead of following the plan, sometimes they go, well, what if I this and what if I that and what if I that? That can actually be a detriment.
Yeah, and that was
so the purpose of me saying that part is I'm just giving hope for, quote, normal people like myself, that normal people can achieve great things, because just follow the plan, right? Just do the next right thing. So anyway,
yeah, no,
something else I find holds a lot of people back though. This is a new concept that I've been thinking of. It's I think a big thing that holds people back, which it kind of marries into this, is what I call the invisible judges. And the invisible judges is that thing of, well, I'm thinking about doing this, but what will they think? And what will they this? And what will they that? And they're going to think I'm not this, and they're going to think I'm not. It's like, who is this they?
right.
Who is they? That people aren't thinking about us that much. And so it's the invisible judges, that there is no such thing as these fictitious judges that I put in my head, that everybody spends all day thinking about Carl and how he this or how he that in a negative sense, which is just not true.
Yeah, people just don't think about us as much as we think they do, right?
Yes. And that was and that doesn't come from a narcissistic viewpoint. It comes from a what's everybody going to think of me viewpoint. And there aren't, the invisible judges are only in our head. They don't exist. They're not real.
Yeah, and that's you know, a nice. I think social media does a great job of making us think that these invisible judges exist even more than they do, because everybody, I mean, if, you know, I have two young girls, and, you know, I look at them and, you know, I feel for them, because I see that every move they make, everything that they do is, unfortunately, because of the world they live in at, you know, age, you know, 9 and 14, you know, they are so worried about those invisible judges, and, you know, well, how's it going to look if I do this, or hold on, take a picture so I can, you know, do this, and instead of just being in the experience of whatever it is that we're doing. So I think that, you know, has always existed outside of social media. You know, people always care how they look and who's judging them, and, you know, want. But with social media, it makes those invisible judges, you know, from, you know, a couple of judges to a panel of a couple thousand, right? Depending on how many people.
And you know, that can also be used as a positive thing sometimes too, because like it's like we're so concerned about what people say about us, and when somebody does say something, like, man, one of the most impactful things that happened in my life, and this is going to sound like a very minuscule thing, but it truly was a defining moment in my life. I was probably about 8 years old, and I was in my grandfather's little rowboat. He had a little tiny 12-foot rowboat, and he had a little lake out in front of his house. And I was out rowing that boat. And I hear my grandfather come out there, really special guy. He came out there and he was talking to nobody, right? But loud enough that I could hear. Look at that boy row. Now he can really row a boat. Man, look at him go. I think I could ski behind that boat. And I found myself like rowing extra hard and doing extra, it's like, wow, man, I am rowing fast. And it was that positive reinforcement that he gave me as a young lad. And it was later on in life, I was getting ready to go on a boat with somebody, fishing with a buddy of mine in a little canoe. And to start off, you always paddle upstream first and then you float downstream. That way you don't go further than what you want. And you have to paddle upstream, right? You always go upstream first. And so I said, his name was Jim. I said, Jim, I'll lead off here. I'll go ahead and be the primary person going upstream, and then you can do the downstream because I'm really good at this stuff. And as soon as I said that, I went, what do you mean I'm really good? It's rowing a boat. How are you really good at rowing a boat, right? It's just such a simple thing. And it was all because my grandfather 30 years earlier had said something as simple like he believed in me. And so that really influenced me on how I talk to other people, that my grandfather has been dead and gone for, a long time. And yet today, a simple activity that happened when I was 8 years old had a major impact on me that taught me that if we believe in people, that great things will come from those same people, our kids, our coworkers, our mentors, our students, like everybody. If you just make it very clear to them that our spouse, if we just make it very clear to them that we believe in them, and that's not a manipulation thing, right? It's like really believe in them, that they can achieve just amazing things. So anyway, that sounds like a very simple story to you, but I'm just telling you that my grandfather believing me as a young boy at 8 years old just had a major impact on me. And we're talking about a 30-second period of my life, right? It's not like he sat there for an hour with a bullhorn, right? He just made a statement for like about a minute and just major impact on my life.
That's exactly that's what Fuel is. That's what we're here to do, is to, help our listeners tap into that. Maybe it's that 30 seconds of their grandfather or somebody in their life that was just pushing them, because we all have that voice.
And then to be that person to other people. Because see, then we get in. So here's the cool thing, man. So my grandfather, to his legacy, and I've had other things happen like this, but this was a big one for me, that my grandfather, because of what he said, that 30-second period of time that he said that one day, has helped me believe in myself. And then to be okay with skin in my knees from time to time, right? That now I've gone out and been honored to be a part of tens of thousands of, loan officers across the nation. And so my grandfather, through his ripple effect, owns a part of that. And so just like you today, my brother, somebody that might be listening to this, right, that you impact them, they go impact another 10,000 people or 1,000 or 500 or 20 or 5, that right. you own a part of that. And the same can be said as anytime we're negative to somebody, anytime we talk down upon somebody, then we can have the negative ripple effect also. So I think, the actions that we do are much, much, much larger than what we think they are oftentimes through the ripple effect. And we can have a major impact on somebody's life, both positive and negative, by simply the things that we say.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, part of what, as you said, those little things that you say, and social media can be a positive thing as well. I've noticed for myself, especially, kind of linking up with some really cool people, and, the Freedom Club, I'm just going to say it. I try to remove the, who we are and what we do from this, but I just can't in talking to you, Carl, because part of what I've done through the Freedom Club is I've connected with just some amazing individuals that have had that ripple effect on my life. Some of them I haven't even met. We have our little private Facebook group, and sometimes, people will post in there something that happened to them, or a story about their day, or just, sometimes we even just do these little inspirational memes, or, whatever it is that the girls throw in the group there. And it has that ripple effect. And then outside of our group, I've connected with these individuals, and, now when I go through my, feed in social media, I see a lot of inspirational, cool stuff, like from some awesome people. And, I've got friends and people, I'll be out and they're like, oh, I hate social media. It's all it is negativity. And this person here is always complaining. I'm like, dude, you should look at my feed. Like,
yeah,
I don't see that.
I don't see that stuff. So it's
badass people here. Like,
it's like the law of attraction. But see, Chris, you go a step beyond that though, man. So the other thing you do is, like, you surround yourself with super cool people, and you feel the fear, you do it anyway, which is a component of, like, I'm a firm believer that God blesses us all with talents, right? Typically, like 1, 2, maybe 3 things that we're amazing at. And I hope this is okay to say this, but I feel very strongly about this, that God blesses us with talents. And then it is our obligation to utilize those talents, right? That if you have the ability to share information like what you're doing right now, Chris, obviously this is one of your talents. Not only is it a good thing for you to do it, brother, to me, it's like you're indebted to do it, because God's blessed you with a talent to do something. And if you don't go out and do that activity, it's dishonoring the person that blessed you with talent.
Sure.
And so when we have these talents, it comes back to feel the fear and do it anyway, that when we have these talents to do these things, brother, it's our obligation then to go exercise those talents, whether it's the talent of being a great agent and showing houses, or helping people through the process of doing it, like whatever that talent is, right? Whatever that talent is, making people feel comfortable, making people feel relaxed. It's your obligation to exercise that talent, or you're dishonoring who gave you that, in my belief system, who gave you that talent. And that talent can be removed and given to somebody else that's going to use it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You really, and, finding, I like how you said, 1, 2, maybe 3 things, right? Because, we try to be so many things and do so many things. And, I think it's powerful when you realize, hey, I'm really good at these few things, because I struggled with that myself, and I know that my gift is connecting with people and helping people in their lives. And whether that's through, my mortgage business and helping people, get into a home and do that, or I'm now, finding myself in a space like this where I want to expand that, and I want to help other people, in all areas of their lives, just, be better people and tap into that. And I used to kind of get down and say, oh, geez, my only talent is, connecting with people. Like, some people can, whatever it is, drive a race car, or, hit home runs out of the ballpark. And my talent is really connecting with people. Is that all I got? And
dude,
then,
what a powerful talent to have, though.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. When, as I started to develop, and, through all kinds of, self-exploration and coaching and cool stuff, I was like, yeah, that's my talent. And that's pretty badass, and that
it is
like that ripple effect, like you said, can just really, it can change lives. And
yeah.
I mean,
and, I think another thing that I think of is, like, I think of the mentors that I've had that's helped me, along my journey, and I feel a really sense of obligation to them too. Like, I think it's again, this might sound corny, but I'm telling you, man, this is what drives me, is it is my civic duty. It's my duty as a decent human being to honor those that have taught me and that have blessed me with their time. That it's my obligation then to take that information, again, not just have it as an idea, but actually implement that idea and bring good things to the earth because of it. And the best way I can honor those that have helped me and given me their time is to take that information, to take those those teachings that they've taught me and put them to use, man. Go use them. Go actually do it. That's like my biggest thing is, and I know I'm getting ready to get some questions here at the end. So this might be one of them that I'm answering ahead of time, is I always hear people say, hey, what book are you reading now? What books have you read this year?
This guy.
And people do, hey, I read 10 books or 15 books or 20. Dude, I want to know, what have you done with the last book that you did read, right? It's not about reading 32 books. It's about reading one book, implementing those things that you learned in that book before you even think about going to the next one. So I don't read a lot of books per year. Truthfully, I don't. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't read a lot of books. But the books that I do read, I actually do what I learn in those books. And I think that's been a huge thing that sets people like you and I apart, Chris, also, is it's not about what book you read. It's what have you done with the instruction you got from the last book. And like for real estate agents, you take a book like Gary Keller's, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Brother, you could spend a career doing nothing but the items in that one book.
Yeah, I have so many books that I've personally, picked up, bought, that sit on the shelf. So, but that definitely.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
We all?
That's the beauty of the audio and the podcast now, right?
Yeah.
We consume stuff while we're driving. So, well, cool, Carl. I really, I really appreciate this interview and really you taking the time to connect with us here, sharing that story there about your grandfather. I mean, that's spot on. What we're doing here at Fuel is just looking at great people, extraordinary people, and saying, hey, what are those little experiences that you've had that, somebody else may be able to tap into something similar and row their boat a little faster. So with that, as you mentioned, and, you say we're bright individuals here, you're ahead of the game because we have some rapid fire questions for you. And you already picked off the first one, so I'm gonna switch.
I'm already feeling the fear, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna mix it up on you. We were gonna go book, but our rapid fire here. So you're stuck on an island, and we got a couple of questions for you. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So this island, we were gonna take some books, but it's got amazing Wi-Fi apparently. So we're going to go with your favorite podcast. What are you listening to? You're stuck on the island. What are you listening to?
Oh, gosh. I listen to so many podcasts. I do. I go for a walk for an hour every morning, an hour every evening, and I listen to podcasts when I do it. Man, the Fuel one's going to be hard to beat. I'm trying to think of one. So the Chris Swartz Fuel is probably number one.
Nice.
I would say, man, that's a tough one because I don't want to disrespect. There's so many that I listen to. I'll tell you one I listen to. It's called Sounds of the Trail. Sounds of the Trail. So that's probably not what you're expecting, but Sounds of the Trail. And what it is these people that are walking the Appalachian Trail. And so it's a documentary, and they're either walking the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Coast Crest or the, what's the third one? Or the Continental Divide, which is all these trails pretty much go from north to south across the entire United States. So they take like 6 months to do. And I listen to these people as they record their journey on these trails and what they think. They're spending an extraordinary amount of time thinking, because they're walking all day, every day for 6 months.
Sure.
With no work to do other than think. And so just listen to some of the things they think about. And that's been a very enlightening thing, actually. I've really enjoyed that. And it's very inspiring, extraordinary that these people, mosquitoes and hills and bears and mountain lions, like literally, and yet they still do it. And some of them are young men and young ladies going independent, and sometimes it's groups of people, but I really enjoy that. It's very inspirational boy, you talk about feeling the fear and pushing through it. That's some scary stuff. They got out there in the middle of nowhere. So anyway, it might be different than what you thought, but sounds from the trail. It's one of my favorite things to listen to.
Nice. Sounds from the trail.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a more of a fun one. So your favorite candy. What are you taking with you? Your secret stash, your snack. You know, what are you bringing on the island?
So, man, I'm a sucker for those maple nut goodies. I don't know what it is about those things. They're actually going. Back when I was a kid, I used to have them, and I don't see them as often. But the maple nut goodies. But I have to tell you, so my lovely wife has helped me a lot with not choosing the maple nut goodies, and instead of getting like dried dates, man, those dates, like dried dates and dried figs, it's at least as good as the candy, and I'm actually preferring it more now, and certainly is better for you. So and it actually gives energy. So I love dried dates and dried fig. Dude, that's a great question. I've never been asked in all my years. I've never been asked that.
Nice. All right, and then last one, we'll wrap it up here. So you can take one person on the island. Obviously, we'd all love to take our family, our loved ones, our closest family, but we know that we would all take them. So outside of our family and, you know, our loved ones, who are you taking? Like, is it just somebody that's a great time that is going to have a hell of a time on the island with you? Is it somebody that is going to, you know, help you build the hut? Who
I can tell you right now, I'd take Tom Hanks because
oh man, that's awesome. Yeah,
he got off that island once. I bet he can do it again. So for sure, I'd take Tom Hanks or the Survivor Man or something like that. If I was to take somebody just for conversation, and I could truly take anybody, you know what, and this is a little different too. I'd take Joel Osteen with me. Cause boy, I've never said the guy's such a positive guy and such a nice guy. I bet he's an amazing conversationalist. Nice. So I'd probably I'd take Tom Hanks first and Joel Osteen to keep us upbeat from going crazy.
Awesome, yeah. I love it. Thanks, Carl. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here on Fuel. And in closing, where can we find you, Carl? Where can we find you?
You know, I'm on Facebook. You can connect up with me up on Facebook. You can also probably the in our podcast. You know, if you want to listen to our podcast, which is Loan Officer Freedom podcast. But yeah, Facebook's probably the best place to hook me up at. All
right, awesome. Well, guys, I can say firsthand, you definitely want to connect with Carl on Facebook. Check out the podcast, and I just want to thank you again for your time and for coming out, and give another shout out to our sponsors here, First Choice Mortgage Advisors. Make sure you go ahead and rate us on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. And Carl, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and just look forward to seeing you at the next event, my brother.
Chris, it's my pleasure. The only reason why I can do what I do is because I hang out with people like you, brother. And just your ideas and your inspiration is very it's a positive thing for me. And it's for that's it, man. It's just hanging out with super cool people like you. So cool. It's an honor to be here, my man. Look forward to hearing the other episodes too, and looking forward to checking out First Choice.
All right, awesome, Carl. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
All right, brother.
Later.